Reiki's from Japan, Qigong is from China, and it's the movement of universal energy, Qi, prana, life force, whatever you want to call it. And Reiki is more of the passive version. Reiki, you allow for yourself to become a natural conduit, just to let universal energy flow through you for the purposes of healing or working on a person or yourself. Qigong is kind of the next step up. I describe it as Reiki on steroids. It's the Chinese version. When you think of the progression of martial arts into Qigong, the way that it happens, especially in Shaolin, is you go from learning the repetitive motions of a form over and over and over again, and that's the martial arts. Then you go into Tai Chi, and Tai Chi is the connection of the movement of your life force or energy inside of your physical body, and that's Tai Chi. That's why you slow it down. And you slow it down so you can begin to feel the movement of the energy. Qigong is then when you take and you cultivate that energy, and you don't just allow it to passively flow through you, but you actually project that energy. Qi means life force, Gong is the cultivation of for healing, and it's for healing yourself or others. So, again, very much like a Reiki or Qigong power washer, the didgeridoo allows for the natural flow of energy, Qi, prana, through the instrument. And what I do is combine traditional Chinese medicine, organ and meridian theory, with Ayurvedic chakra theory to determine what key I'll work on with a client. Because in traditional Chinese medicine, it's a very sophisticated system of determining what emotions are stagnating inside of an organ center. So each one of your major organs, when you hear them say, I've got to work, you need to work on liver, liver's deficient. Liver is an organ that is responsible for, actually liver, spleen dance and together, and its anger is what tends to be in liver. So you'll see it represent itself in a couple of different ways, and a lot of times when you're watching someone who abuses themselves with alcohol, what they're really doing is attacking the liver. They're going through, and not everybody obviously who drinks heavily is an angry drunk, but when you see that representation of anger that comes out, you're not only beating up liver, but then you're also acting out with this thing. So liver, spleen, if I was working on a person with liver, spleen, there's no key for liver, spleen. And this is the solar plexus area in Ayurveda. So first chakra, key of C, second chakra, first chakra, key of C, second chakra, key of D, third chakra, key of E. It goes just right up like a musical scale. So I would know that I need a didgeridoo in the key of E when doing work with a person in that area. Another example, lungs. Lungs deal with grief, sadness. Person dealing with chronic bronchitis, lung issues all the time. You tend to see this, especially after someone loses a loved one, they get that cold that doesn't go away. And sometimes that'll actually even turn and manifest itself into chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia over a period of time. I've done work with people with chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia. You can always ask that person, how long have you had it for? And they'll be able to tell you, like, down to the moment when they got that first cold or that first ache that didn't go away. And you can take and from there find out what was the major life trauma that was occurring at that point. And that's what you work to release, is the emotional stagnation created by that trauma. And once you do that, it's like kicking out the foundation of the cards. Everything falls down, the person's able to start the healing process over again. So that's why Western medicine isn't able to heal chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia through drugs, because they're just treating the symptoms, but they're not treating the underlying emotional component that's causing it. So when you're dealing with grief, sadness, lungs, heart, heal that. So again, it's the chakra system going right up. These dysfunctions inside the organ centers, this is where we develop our illness, and it's because these energetic areas, when you have an energetic stagnation, it's like if you imagine each one of the energy centers and each one of the organs as being a pool of water that's vibrating, and it has vibration in key, typically in key, and just having something rippling or vibrating out of that key. And so it's throwing off the whole vibration of the system. Another example, think of the chakras as a cascading series of 7 pools. If any one of the chakras becomes stagnated, it'll back up going in one direction, and it'll cause the rest of it to no longer get that energy flow, and you get that stagnation. That's why when you hear people, I think the chakras in Western culture also tend to be some of the most misunderstood descriptions of the energy centers of the body, because we've kind of heard, like, you got to get the chakras straight, how it feels. And so it's kind of like, in a way, lost some of its I think some of its natural understanding and seriousness to the same the way the zodiac. It's got really used for a while, and people don't really understand what they're talking about. They also line up with your major glandular system. They tend to fall in lines with the glands. So where traditional Chinese medicine really focused on the organs, the Hindu seven chakra system focused predominantly on the seven major glandular areas, and then you also have the Incan, the Mayan, and the Cherokee are three more that had chakras, same seven, but then had an additional up to 12 because they also considered the points on the palms and the feet inside of those, which are also identified in traditional Chinese medicine. So that's the other thing. These are all very old systems of medicine that treat the subtle energy systems of the body, and they're all just different sides of the same coin. And all I've done is take and figure out what works for this particular application to be able to work with the sounds of my clients. And it's very similar in effect to the way it helps release the energetic stagnation in a person as 5-element acupuncture. So you're looking at a 10 to 14-day window of time where the person's natural chi is continuing to be effective from the session. So just like in traditional 5-element acupuncture, I tend to work with a client to stack sessions. So the person has a baseline of their energy, and you've got 10 to 14 days where you can bring them up above where they were, but then they start to go down, and they get below that line again. If you wait 3 weeks for them to come back in, then you're treating them back at the same point. So in 5-element acupuncture, what they do is, traditionally in China, they see people every day for a series of what's called a series, going through all the 5 elements. Where in Western culture, we don't have that option, so even being able to see a person once a week tends to be a big improvement. And I let my clients make their own decisions on that. So that's the second way it affects a person, is through the energetic.